What is up, difference makers? It is your favorite LO, Loan Officer Mark. I am here as a fill-in for our friend Kerry. Welcome to not only The Difference, but Real Talk. It is hosted by Brian Poduska. Lendon, hit that tape, man. Let's go.
What is up, everybody? How are we doing today? This is Brian Poduska, host of Real Talk. On a weekly basis, we have rotating co-hosts. As you saw, Mark, thank you for that introduction. Mark is our co-host today, filling in for, as he said, Kerry Cook, who is normally the third week of the month. So Mark is actually normally the first week of the month. So we're going to see him in a couple more weeks. So we're happy to have him co-hosting today. We appreciate that. We look forward to having his guest on as well today. So for those of you who haven't seen Real Talk, what we do, what we are, is we have Real Talk, right? And we have a rotating business topic of the month. This month's topic is a good one, especially given what's going on in, the world, our community, you name it. It applies in so many different ways, shapes, and form. And the topic of the month is adversity. And when I say adversity, I mean adversity in bad situations, which unfortunately seems very prevalent in today's world, but also adversity can be created by good things as well. So I don't want to just focus on the negative drivers of adversity, but I mean, as a human, we've all gone through some adversity in some way, shape, or form, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that topic today. So look forward to hearing from co-host Mark. Lennon is in the background chiming in as the creator of The Difference, hashtag The Difference. So for those of you, again, who haven't seen our show and know what The Difference is a platform that basically spotlights business owners. It's designed specifically for business owners, entrepreneurs, and folks who are looking to connect and connect at the local level. So we talk about things that make the difference in business and life, and highlight and spotlight those local business owners that make the difference in their community as well. So that is what The Difference is. This is what our show is, Real Talk with Brian Poduska. Mark is our co-host. Real Property Management Focus is the company that I own and operate, where we focus on your real estate investments. We are a full-service property management and real estate brokerage, really focusing on you as the investor. So if you're a real estate investor or want to get into the real estate investing world, we can help. We've got some tools that we can provide that other companies cannot, to analyze, identify, and purchase investment property. We can obviously manage it along the way. That is what our name, Real Property Management, symbolizes. And then, of course, on the back end, we can help you sell it as well. So that is what Real Property Management Focus is in a nutshell. You know about The Difference. You know about all that now. So without further ado, let's bring back Mark, Loan Officer Mark, that is, because we've got multiple Marks this week.
We're going to keep it confusing like we do in all things economics, all things real estate, and we're just going to kind of keep with that theme that we've got going. Brian, adversity. I love adversity. I guess talk to our viewers why adversity right now.
Well, dude, I mean, if you watch the news, unfortunately, you know, especially in the real estate market, I don't want to say we're all facing adversity in the real estate market, because there are plenty of positives still going on, especially here in the DFW area. But those positives have created adversity over the last year and a half. That adversity now in the real estate world is starting to change a little bit, right? So there's that going on in the real estate world. Looking at it obviously on a larger global scale, the inflation that we're going through. Looking at it on a micro scale, we're facing 110-degree temperatures on a daily basis here in DFW. So I'm just lucky that we have power today and we have air conditioning. But I mean, it's such a global topic that it's something that I wanted to dive into. And I know you personally have some really awesome examples that you're going through right now from a personal growth standpoint and challenges like that. Lyndon, I know you've gone through plenty of stuff, very recently from a personal aspect. The fact that you may be able to raise your arm above your head. All right, there we go.
For the first time in 15 years, I can actually give a high five.
So that is overcoming adversity in and of a nutshell, right there.
Right.
That is also
and the other thing that I wanted to mention before we get started to kind of tee all this up is, as you said at the beginning, Brian, the difference and the shows on the difference are about spotlighting the businesses and the community leaders, the student athletes, the students within those communities that are making the difference for our communities. And, as a business owner, we all want to be seen, be heard, be remembered. But there's not one of us sitting here right now that doesn't want to partner with someone or hire someone that is not skilled in overcoming adversity. I mean, when you think about it, if it comes down to apples comparison, right? Mark, you're in the mortgage business. Government says you're pretty regulated. Other than just personal service, there's not a lot of differentiation between mortgage A and mortgage company B, other than the fact, does my loan officer know how to overcome adversity? Because if anybody's ever gone through the loan process, they know that it exists. It exists in almost every loan. Same with you, Brian. You got hailstorms, right? You got weather conditions on the properties that you manage. How do you handle that? Are you the fighter that doesn't curl up and quit answering the phone when things get tough? I think that if we're honest with ourselves and we start looking, most all of us want that person that can overcome adversity, because indefinitely there's going to be something that goes wrong somewhere.
And that is an amazing segue for my special guest. We've got another Mark in the house. Mark makes me go through adversity every single day, and I freaking love him for it. I'm so excited to introduce him to our viewers and our audience. Mark Zalmanoff, let's bring him in. Mark is not only a badass entrepreneur, author, gym goer, just fitness ninja, but he's an all-around good human. And I know one of his favorite hashtags, one that's been floating around the gym ever since I joined, is hashtag success. So we embrace the suck around here, and we love the adversity. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm super excited to be here. I love this topic. It's interesting. I never really thought of the gym experience itself being adversity, but it truly is, like, every day. And
this morning was.
Let's be clear. I don't make you do anything. I'm just very suggestive with the things that I would like for you to do, and then you willingly do them, or maybe unwillingly, but you do them anyway, and it's awesome. Like, it brings me joy. It really does.
I was talking about it yesterday. I was like, whenever I walk into the gym, I just turn off my brain. Like, whatever I get told I have to do, that's what gets done.
Yeah, Brian, I think you brought up the weather, here in the North Texas area, like every day, like we're way up over 100 degrees. And something I've been doing recently, Lyndon talked about, you want somebody who does the work. Like, you want somebody who shows that they're willing to fight and overcome. And when I'm doing 75 hard as well, which Mark is on too. We both started at roughly the same time. And it's 75 hard. Like, it's not 75 soft. It's not 75 convenient for my lifestyle. It's not 75, oh, maybe if I feel like it today. No, it's 75 hard for a reason. But I know that there's people that do it the easiest way possible. And that's not, in my opinion, that's not within integrity of the program. So something I've been doing recently is I wait till 4 p.m, which, if you don't know, in North Texas, that is the hottest time of the day. It's not noon. It just gets hotter and hotter as the day goes on. And 4 or 5 o'clock, I go outside to do my second workout of the day. Sometimes that's with a 40-pound weight vest on. A couple days ago, I pushed this big stupid ass sled that we have at the gym up and down the parking lot. But it's in those moments that I allow myself to get uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but it's that reminder of not only that I'm capable of doing hard things and capable of overcoming, but it's a humility exercise as well, because one of my favorite things to talk about is death, and we'll get into that in a little bit about like what drives me, and death is the thing that really drives me. And that's the ultimate adversity that no one will ever overcome, because that's our fate. But man, so there I go, just rambling on for a moment here. But I love it, and I think when you see examples of people overcoming, it gives you that power and a lot of times the permission to go do it yourself. If anybody's read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, man, that'll change your whole mindset of what real adversity truly is. And let's face it, we all live in the most comfortable time that humanity has ever seen. And if you're watching this, you probably live a really comfortable life. Like, I'm sitting in an air-conditioned office in my home. I got food, 5 seconds away from me. I could probably pay somebody to come feed me right now if I really wanted to. Like, life is really comfortable. And so we have to sometimes manufacture some adversity as well to make sure that we stay mentally sharp and physically sharp and emotionally sharp. So there's a conundrum in here somewhere of adversity doesn't always just show up. Sometimes we have to go seek it. And I know that sounds really weird to some people, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I like that concept of manufacturing adversity. And as a gym owner, right, and we'll get a little bit more into that here in a bit, but if you're a trainer, gym owner, whatever, but you have to motivate folks, right? So I would imagine you have to create that adversity, and goals, personal goals can create adversity, right? Just you're thinking about it from a very high level. I mean, heck, 75 hard. So for those who don't know what 75 hard is, I mean, I generally know what it is. I don't know all the specifics other than you put yourself through the ringer for 75 straight days. There's no excuses. There's no. So
I was talking to my mom yesterday. She called me all worried about me. And she's like, what you're doing is, it's not normal. And I'm scared for you. And like, what are you doing? And I was like, number one, like, what is normal? And number two, like, when did you ever know me to seek normal? And being unnormal and uncommon is the entire point of 75 hard. Mark, you got me into it. I've seen you encourage people through it. We've got a group of like 40 people doing it now.
Yeah.
Right? So I know we both believe in not only personal accountability, but accountability to others. But talk to us, 75 hard. Talk to us about what the requirements are, a little bit of the background, and what time is this for you? How many times have you done this thing?
So as far as times through it, this is my third time through, but there's an extended, we won't get into the whole thing, but there's something called the Live Hard program, which is a year-long journey. And I've been through that one whole cycle. And then this is my third time doing just the 75 hard piece. So for those of you who don't know, 75 hard is 2 workouts per day, minimum of 45 minutes each. One has to be outside. Drink a gallon of water, not a gallon of sweetened water or Mio water or lemon. Well, drink a gallon of water, take a progress picture, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, preferably something self-development, business development, and then follow a healthy eating plan, no cheat meals, no alcohol for 75 straight days. If you miss any one of those components on any day, you go back to day one. Now, the number one thing I hear when I tell people about this is, well, what is it? And I tell them, they go, oh, I couldn't go 75 days without alcohol.
That's the easiest part.
Wow. And usually if somebody says that to me, I go, well, that's exactly.
Maybe they need to start with rehab first then.
But it's that self-doubt, that limiting belief right out the bat of like, well, I can't do that. That's too hard, right? And on the surface, people see this as a physical challenge, which most people will have a physical transformation. But this is a mental discipline challenge. This is a time management challenge. This has nothing really to do with exercise itself other than creating that habit. But it's interesting, you know, some people start this thing and just crush it from day 1 to day 75. They are on it. Everything's checked off every day. They absolutely dominate. And then I encounter people that start and fail over and over and over again. And if you really look at the types of people that do that, it is people who haven't learned how to overcome adversity. You know, a lot of us that embrace this program, we own businesses, we have families, we travel. Like I traveled like 2.5 days last week. I still had to get everything done. There wasn't an excuse like, well, I'm traveling, so I'll take these 2 days off and add them to the end. That's not how this works. Like you have to figure it out. And it becomes this microcosm for how you operate in life. Because I can tell you, every time I've done this program and any components of it, 60 to 90 days later, my life improves. My business, my relationships, my own physical health, like all of it improves because of that dedicated amount of time that I was laser focused on something. And we can't always sprint. I think that's unrealistic, you know, and we get caught in this like grind hustle thing that everybody glorifies. But I think there's a time and place for it as well. So something like, and it doesn't have to be 75 hard, but something like this that allows you to get laser focused for a short amount of time can really move your life forward quickly. But it teaches you a lot of those lessons along the way of like, okay, where are you wasting your time? Like I do it too. Like we all do it. You know, you get on to check a DM and Facebook, and 20 minutes later, you're, you know, 80 memes deep, and you're like, oh shit, what am I doing? Like, you just totally lose track of time, right? So we all do it, but it really is about figuring out like, how do you get a little bit better every day and training yourself again to overcome things and not succumb to things, which is what the world wants us to do. The world would have us just go, oh, the economy's bad, and oh, gas prices are high, and so now I just got to sit here and wait till that changes for me to change. It doesn't even make any sense. But that's the way the world operates. So, you know, Mark, to your point about like, you have to be uncommon, and sometimes you have to be uncommon amongst the uncommon. You know, that's a Goggins quote. That's something that he talked about even in the Navy SEALs, how he was so different than even the other Navy SEALs. He just had a different mindset. And the dudes, anybody that knows him, if you talk to guys in the special forces community, even they shake their head and they're like, that's a different dude. You know, he's a different cat. But again, you know, it's the program is great. I love 75 hard. As Mark says, I definitely encourage people to do it. And it's something that fits everyone. So if somebody heard this and like, oh, I couldn't do it. Yeah, you can. Like everybody can do it. It was really made for the average person who's not doing things, not people who are like already achieving at high levels and trying to find that edge. But it really does fit anybody because you just work to your own capacity. That's all it's really about.
And not just that. I mean, it's the self-confidence and self-esteem that you build in yourself by doing the work and actually seeing the kind of the changes, not just physical, like you said, but the mental changes. But in our group, I mean, we've got people recovering from surgery. We've got people with autoimmune disease and disorders that they're battling through. And to see people be able to fight through that when, for the most part, I'm a young, healthy male, right? Like hit the fucking jackpot there. But like seeing other people struggle through it, but fight through it and actually be victorious from it, it's one of the most motivating things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Mark, you got that privilege that they talk about.
Oh, I might have been born in another country, but I still recognize it every single day.
Well, hey, guys, we got to take a short break here to give our sponsors a little bit of love. What I want to do on the back end, Mark, is Mark Z, I should say, get into a little bit of, how you got to where you're at and what drives you on a daily basis. And of course, we're going to dive deeper into the topic of adversity. I've got a clip that I hope we can play in a little bit as well, but we'll do that on the back end. Right now, let's let some sponsor love come.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus, an unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869. WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
And by
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to hear from our sponsors. Couldn't do any of this without them, so thank you all for being the sponsor of The Difference and Real Talk. All right, now, Mark, the thing that I love hearing whenever we have guests on, I love hearing the stories of how you got to your entrepreneurial journey, of how you got to where you're at. So tell us a little bit about your current business and the journey that brought you to that business.
Yeah, so currently I run Mark Z Fitness and Nutrition in Frisco, Texas. It is a brick and mortar training facility. I get to whoop Mark K's ass every day, so that's really awesome.
That in and of itself is worth it.
He's fantastic, man. He shows up ready to work. I do online coaching as well. I run another business called Fit Pro Collective, where we coach other fitness coaches and help them grow and scale their business. I'm an author. I'm a podcast host. I run my mouth all day is basically what I do. It's great. Married, got a baby on the way, so I'll have one more person to run my mouth to. It's going to be on like a captive audience too.
You're going to soon realize they will run their mouth to you, and you have to respond to them.
I have two older kids too. So
all right. So
this ain't my first rodeo.
No, all right.
And one thing I've never understood is how two rodeos makes you an expert, but whatever. So, I've been coaching for 20 years, and it's really weird to say that out loud because I don't feel like it's been that long. When I started college, I had intentions to be a chiropractor. Talking about adversity, I encountered organic chemistry. And I don't know if anybody's ever had organic chemistry as a class, but holy shit. You might as well have been speaking Sanskrit to me because I had no clue what was going on. I went to class. I paid attention. I went to the labs. I got tutoring. I still had zero idea what was happening. Like the overall concept didn't even make sense to me. So I dropped the class, and then I do a little more research, which I probably should have done before, and realized that in chiropractic college, the number one science that you study is, you guessed it, organic chemistry. I'm like, oh, well, I'm fucked now. Like if I don't understand the concept of something, we have a problem. So I literally changed my major at that point. I was just going to have a biology degree, and that's what you do to roll into chiropractic college. And I switched my degree to kinesiology, and there's not much you can do with that other than go be a PE teacher, stay in school, or go be a personal trainer. So that was really, for me, when I look back, that was kind of the first big piece of adversity that I had to overcome and figure out, okay, well, what do I do with this now? Because obviously this isn't going to work out. And I started coaching after that. I mean, as soon as I was out of college, I got a job as a personal trainer at Bally Total Fitness, which if you know what that is, then you're old, because they don't exist anymore. And shortly after that, I got a job at Lifetime Fitness here in Plano, Texas. It was actually the first Lifetime in Texas. So nobody had ever seen a public gym like that before, with hot tubs and saunas and spas and all. I mean, it was incredible. I worked there for a few years, and then I went out on my own after that. So I've been on my own for pretty much about 16 and a half years of my 20-year career. And it was one of those things where, like a lot of industries, if you're good, you're going to work your way out. Like it's really hard to work for people in environments like that. And especially, a lot of coaching is sales, which nobody tells us that when we sign up to be a coach. So you got to figure out the whole sales game and marketing and self-promotion and all that stuff. A lot of trial and error over the years. I've owned a gym or two prior. I've worked out of other people's gyms. I was fortunate enough to find the facility that I have now back in 2018. And, again, just more growing pains. So all of a sudden I got brick and mortar again. I have rent, I have insurance, all this overhead. And it's competitive. We live in a very congested area. Literally, and Mark will tell you, where my gym is, in the parking lot, if you stand at my front door and you look to the right, there's a gym. And if you look to the left, there's a gym. So there's literally 3 gyms like door to door to each other. What's really cool, though, is we're all doing well. And when you operate with a mindset of abundance and not scarcity, you start to understand, look, there's plenty of it for all of us. If you look at the stats on health and obesity in this country, like 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. 70. That's most. So if all I really need is 50 to 70 people in my gym, surely I can find 50 to 70 people that need my help. And so, it's been this journey of self-development and working on my own self and being surrounded by better people and joining mastermind groups and all those things that I think a lot of times from the outside seem cliche, but it's the truth. Like you really do. You have to work on you. And when you work on you, all these other things get better. And it's not by coincidence. Because most of it starts in between your ears. Like if you don't have a good mindset and you don't operate with that servant mentality of like, I'm just going to go help people and I know that I'll get mine. I don't remember if it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar or one of those guys, always said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want as well. Well, for years, I just thought that was bullshit. Because I'm like, I'm helping all these people. Where's mine?
Right.
Well, it just wasn't my time yet. Like I had to be patient. There
Right.
were things that I had to learn. There were lessons I had to learn. There were things I had to overcome to get to this place where I am now. And so it's easy to look back now and go, oh, okay, I got it. Understand.
Right. Hindsight's always 20/20.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect every time.
Well, that's awesome. And you mentioned 70% of America is obese. I mean, I knew the number was high. I didn't realize it was that high. And that kind of speaks to, there's opportunity out there. The market creates opportunity, right? So 70% of America being obese certainly helps your business model. Also creates quite a bit of competition because you're not the only one who sees that there's, obese people walking around most of where you look, right? So they need a gym, they need nutrition, they need all that stuff. Same like in the real estate market, the last year and a half has been fantastic for those who have a listing, I guess you could say, or those who are in the business of, helping folks get loans, or when rates were so low, everybody was refinancing, right? So it created a lot of opportunity in the mortgage industry as well. Along with that, and whether you're successful or not, but along with that, you mentioned that I heard you say, as you got bigger and bigger and more clients, you got back to the brick and mortar. So success leads to the fact that you got back into the brick and mortar actual gym, right? So along with that success comes the adversity of shit. Now I've got rent to pay. Now I've got equipment to maintain. Now I've got employees I have to hire and make sure that I retain and train well. I've got insurance that is, all the things that come along with having a brick and mortar business on top of what you were doing previously. Talk about that angle of adversity, right? So that's what I call the success adversity. Success creates adversity in those hurdles that you have to overcome to be successful in that. So talk about that a little bit and how you dealt with that.
So, all of a sudden I'm paying rent again, and, I know my margins. I know how many people I have to have. Of course, the people that you think are going to support you go away. Then you got to go find new people. But then, 2 years ago in 2020, this little thing happened, and, I had to shut down the gym. Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't really shut down the gym, but from the outside, it was mostly shut down.
It looked that way, right?
Yeah, for the most part. So here's the deal. Years before that, probably 2 years before that, I had started doing online coaching. And it was really just out of people coming to me and going, hey, I really would like your help, but, you're not anywhere close to me. I live out of state. What can you do? So I started tinkering around with things and kind of figured out a system. And I had a couple of people online, not a whole lot. So when I had to shut things down, is it scary? Because I knew the landlord wasn't going to let me not pay rent, because they're a bunch of dicks over there, by the way. But rent was still going to be due regardless. Like
probably just the property manager's a dick.
No, the property manager is actually nice. It's the owner that's a dick. Right. Anyway, but so I had to shift that mindset real fast and go, okay, how can I help these people? Because my clients still, they don't want to see the gym go under. They want to make sure they still have a place to come back to, but they still need help too. And I recognized it really quick that as people were scared and things were getting locked down, and you think about the beginning of that, like nobody knew what the hell was going on, right? I wear a mask, or I wear gloves, can I touch things, can I breathe the air? Like nobody knew. So we're all like huddled inside and staying away from people. But if there's ever a time to double down on your own mental and physical health, it's during that time. So I thought, okay, how am I going to help my people? I sent everybody home with, I think everybody took a pair of dumbbells and a kettlebell home. So I'm like, take some equipment. And from the day that I quote unquote shut the gym down, 48 hours later, I had everybody online in my online platform. I had a system in place. I had communication in place. And for a good 6 weeks, that's what we did. And I know some of the people worked out on a regular basis because I knew when they came back in the gym. And I know some of the people didn't do shit for 6 weeks because I knew when they came back in the gym. But we kept the community strong. But it was just led by, how can I help these people? Like we had Zoom happy hours that had nothing to do with fitness. It was all, hey, go grab a drink. Let's get on Zoom and we'll shoot the shit and hang out with each other, because that's a lot of what happens in the gym. Yeah, we work hard in there, but there's a community of people that are being built in there as well. So it was really interesting to watch. And then once we kind of realized it was all bullshit, and we were like, we're just going to open the gym again because we're in Texas. It smells like freedom here. So that's what we do. I basically opened the gym up slowly. I added a couple more sessions back, like every week. I kind of opened the schedule a little bit more, and people were so grateful to be back in. And again, it was still, you're talking May of 2020. So it's still weird. Like all the stores are still, here, stand on this square because you're COVID free in this square, but not that square over there, whatever. But it was awesome to see how, despite the chaos that was going on around us, that we were, and when I say we, I mean myself and our clients in the gym, that we were able to have some order amongst that. And again, you talk about overcoming adversity. So there's all these shenanigans going around. People are losing their jobs. People are dying. Like, we won't negate that. but we were able to control what we could control, which is the things that we think and the things that we do. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all any of us can ever do. You know, I have no control over the weather or the president or gas prices or mortgage rates. I don't control any of that stuff. All I can control is the way that I think and the way that I react to the things that come towards me. And I think if more people were willing to just accept that that's the way it is, I think we'd all live a better life. You know, even as a parent, maybe you control your kids a little bit up until a certain age, and then once they pass a certain age, you don't got control over them as well. You know, you could discipline and punish and guide and mentor and all those things, but you're still not controlling that other being. You know, the men on here, like, if you got a wife, you sure as hell don't control your wife. I can promise you that. You know, but it to me, it always goes back to, like, what can I do in this situation to be a better human being, to add a little more value. You know, one of my biggest things in life is just spreading joy in the world. And whether that's, you know, my own personal joy or watching Mark suffer in a workout, or, you know, putting a smile on a cashier's face at the grocery store that looks like they're having a shit day. And if in, you know, the 30 seconds I'm standing there, I can make them crack a smile or, you know, look up for a moment. Like, those are the types of things that I focus on. And Brian, you know, you asked a little while ago, like, what drives me? And I mentioned it before, and it really is death. Because, you know, Lord willing, like, I hope I have another, I don't know, 70, 80 years. I think by the time we're older, the research is showing that people will begin to live longer than they live right now. Like, there's some pretty solid research out there that shows our capacity is probably up around 150 years old. And I don't mean just existing, I mean living, like being a functional human being. Like, I don't want to be no vegetable. You can take me out to pasture at that point. But, you know, if we're going to have people living to be 120, 130, 140, 150, then there's got to be a quality of life that comes with that. But regardless of when that time comes, like, we're all going to die. And whether it's tomorrow or 70 years from now, this gift that we've been given is amazing. You know, they say the stat on being born is 1 in 400 trillion. Now, like, you can't even wrap your head around that number. I don't even know who came up with that, but that's the stat, right? So your odds of being born a human being on planet Earth are 1 in 400 trillion. It's such a gift. So why would we waste it doing anything less than the things that we want to pursue in this world? So if I go out today, I got to go to the pet store later, cat food and litter, whatever. You know, if I get sideswiped by another vehicle and I die, well, I hope that the first part of this day was good, and that I spread some joy, and that I did something good for myself, that I did something good for other people. Like, that's my driving force, because you never know when it's going to be over. And I think too many people take it for granted, or they ignore it, or they think it's not going to happen. But we all know our fate. And when you live with that in the back of your head of, like, I know it's coming, I know it's coming, I know it's coming. For me, that's the driving force. That's the thing that allows me to operate without fear, that allows me to make bold moves, that allows me to say, you know what, it's going to be all right. One way or another, it's going to be all right. Sometimes, I don't know if Mark's ever heard me say it in the gym, but sometimes I say there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And it may be a train, but it'll all be over soon one way or another, you know? But that's my mentality. And it's weird to a lot of people that I think so much about death and I talk so much about death, because for a lot of people, I'm the happiest person they know. I walk around with a smile on my face all the time. It's real. It's not, I don't fake this, but it's my driving force. It really is.
Well, I do have to admit, I thought it was a little bit morbid when you said earlier that, you know, you're driven by death. Now that you've expounded and explained why, I freaking love that outlook and that mentality. Because I try to do that, generally speaking, myself. I don't think of it that way, but now that you say that, you know, that's going to leave a mark on me, just as I think about, all right, you know, I'm a glasses generally half full approach, right? And that's kind of what you're saying, right? Is that you look at every moment in your life and, hey, how do I make that cashier smile? Because it looks like they're having a crappy day, or whatever the case may be. But that outlook and that mentality will get you a long way. And hopefully it is that 70 years and not, tomorrow. But, if it is tomorrow, at least you knew you like you said, you lived a good half a day at least, right?
Amen to that.
I guess that's the morbid piece of it. We won't think of it like that. We'll think
I
of it more
honestly,
in
I
the
had
7 year.
no idea that you were that aligned with me in that same way. Like my favorite quote is "Memento Mori,"
Dude,
which
it's
is
on my arm.
Remember you die.
It's tattooed on my arm.
I literally didn't even know that. But that's my driving force, right? Like my parents made one of the ultimate sacrifices, which is picking up their family and traveling, I don't know how many thousands of miles away into a country where they didn't speak the language. Like I have to honor them in that. But at the end of the day, I can't die knowing that I didn't do my piece to honor them every single day and to honor their sacrifices and to do the things that God put me on this earth to go do. And so that is why I fabricate adversity in as many aspects of life as I can. Brian, you mentioned it's an adverse time, especially in the mortgage industry. And there's a lot of moving pieces and moving people and cutting staff. And at the end of the day, I'm in this place where everybody is running from the adversity. And I'm that weirdo that's throwing 75 hard into it and doing even more with exponentially less time in my day and just continuing to seek that adversity because I know at the end of the day, all of my biggest evolutions and jumps and gains, they all came on the right on the other side of whatever adversity I was facing.
Yeah, if you read Marcus Aurelius, I study a lot of Stoicism, and if you read his stuff, number one, you start to figure out real quick that humanity hasn't changed. Like we've been facing the same problems for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it still ain't changing. If you change his verbiage to modern day language, you wouldn't know it was written 2,000 years ago. But he talks about like we are meant to have a purpose. We're meant to work in this world. As a matter of fact, I read the Daily Stoic, and in today's entry, he talks about like you wake up and you see your dog like laying there, right, sleeping in the bed. You're like, oh, that's what a dog does, right? The dog doesn't have a purpose. The dog, maybe to love you or whatever, but like the dog doesn't wake up and go, oh shit, I got to send this email out today and record a podcast and go grocery shopping. Like that's not the dog's purpose. The dog's purpose is to be an animal and a domesticated animal at that, which means he's going to lay around the house and, chew on a shoe and shake his ass when you come home or whatever. Like that's a dog's purpose, but that's not what our purpose is. Our purpose isn't just to lay there and let things come to us. Like our purpose is to go contribute in whatever meaningful way that is for us. Everyone has a different purpose and lot in life, but that purpose is to get up and go do something to contribute to society and humanity. And again, I think about those things frequently. And so when we talk about, why do we do these things? Like people, I'm sure Mark gets the question too, like, well, why are you doing 75 hard? Or why do you work out so hard? Or why do you have that weight vest on? Why are you starting a new business, right? Why are you posting all this stuff on social media? Like, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a high performer, you get asked those questions all the time. And honestly, like the best answer I have is why not? Like, really, why not? What else am I doing? Fucking scrolling through social media, like there's so much impact that we can make in this world. And if you're blessed with a platform that you can be a leader, and we're all a leader, so let's get that out of the way too. Like everyone's a leader to someone somewhere. Whether you accept that responsibility or not is up to you, but you are a leader to someone. But if you've been blessed with a platform to have some type of influence and some type of positive impact on other human beings, then to me, it's your obligation to fulfill that. And playing small and being fearful and not wanting to overcome whatever it is, like you're just doing a disservice, not only to yourself, but to the world around you.
Given all the adversity out there, I've had a lot of conversations with people battling anxiety and battling depression. And I think so much of it comes from ourselves not doing the work that we innately know that we're placed on here to do, right? Like exactly what you were saying, we all have a purpose. And I feel like when we're misaligned in what that purpose is and we're not acting on it, that's when the anxiety comes. That's where the depression comes, because you're not actually fulfilling your purpose on this earth. And so I think that is really the reason why I am doing what I'm doing. It's for others. It's like, I know I am a leader and I need to be a leader for myself. When this challenge came out in 2019, I laughed my ass off at everybody trying it. And like, as soon as somebody would fail, I'd be like, good. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it. So good. Glad they failed. And then I'd see these people that would make it through, and I would be like, what? Like, they're not better than me. Like, why can they do it? And why can't I? And then just over this like 24-month period, because it came out before COVID, right?
Yeah.
Was it 19 or 18?
Yeah, it was spring of 19.
Yeah. And so I was like, there's just no way. Don't even try. Like, you're not going to, I hate failing anything. And so I literally was just telling myself, don't even try, because you're going to fail and you're going to hate yourself. And then eventually that evolved to, you need to do this because you think you're going to fail and you've got to embrace the suck. And now's your time. And it's so funny how it's like, I think I'm on day 32. It's the greatest thing I've ever put myself through. My parents may be calling me every other night, worried about it. But I'm looking forward to setting my alarm for 4:15 the next morning so that I can get up and go get a 45-minute outdoor workout in before I go see Mark at the gym. And that, I was rolling out of bed at 6:30, which was early. And I remember telling Pedro, if you're watching, shout out to you, big guy, for actually making me do the work and holding me accountable. But I was like, no, man, I'm going to do the 7 a.m. I get up at 6:30. That's the right time for me. I feel great. I'm going to do 7. I'm going to actually sign up. I'm going to do it. And now it's literally like, I'm debating with myself, like, do I want to start doing the 5 a.m.? That doesn't.
On that note, Mark, let's you have fully embraced the suck, and I love that. On the back end of this break, because we do have to take a quick commercial break, on the back end, I want to play a video that basically talks about exactly that. So let's break and we'll come back.
The Difference Radio, live stream and podcast, the voice of small businesses and the communities they serve.
Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that. One that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button, and tune in each week so you can experience the difference.
All right, we're back. Landon, let's see if we can get this queued up. I want to just give a shout out to Mr. Sean Kemery, who's one of my networking partners, who brought this to my attention. Jocko Willink is a former Navy SEAL who put this together. The talk earlier about the Navy SEAL sparked this in my head. So we're doing this on the fly.
I want to plug real quick his book, Extreme Ownership. I don't remember his co-author's name. One of the best books I've ever read and listened to. So if you, the viewer, has not listened to it specifically on Audible, highly recommend it.
Yeah, awesome. So we're doing this on the fly. We'll see if this works, but it's something that stuck with me when I saw it. So Lennon, let's see if we can make this happen.
If you don't hear the audio, let me know right away, and I'll replay it. I've got a workaround. I think that maybe we can make this work for us.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no sound.
No audio.
I'm not getting audio here either, guys. So hang on one second.
All right. Well, while Lennon's queuing that up, I'll give you kind of the baseline of this, and it is kind of what we talked about. It's adversity, right? So everybody's faced with adversity, and some of the stuff that he's going to go through in this video, was with his training and as the commanding officer. But it's the mindset and the outlook that when you hear negative thoughts or you're faced with a negative situation, what do you do with it? Do you just, like you said, Mark, earlier, do you act out of fear and wait for it to come to you, or do you go attack it and say, you know what?
Towards it as fast as my little legs can run.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things I've ever heard anyone say, Jocko was on a podcast being interviewed, and he's known for being mentally strong. Like that's one of his things. And the interviewer asked him, so how do you teach somebody to be mentally strong? And he had the greatest fucking answer. It was almost as if he didn't even comprehend how you could not be that way. And so he goes, well, you just do things that require mental strength. And I'm like, that's the dumbest and greatest answer to that question you could possibly have, because you're asking the guy who is probably one of the most mentally tough men in the world. He's like, didn't even comprehend. Like, what do you mean not be mentally strong? Like, you just be mentally strong and you just do things that require that. Like, oh, all right, well, there we go.
Simple.
So great. But again, it speaks to what we were talking about earlier about seeking adversity. So sometimes, again, you have to manufacture those things because it's a comfortable existence we have, and it really, I've been reading this book called Sapiens. That's humongous, by the way, and I just finished it. But when you think about the way that we live right now, it's so small in the grand scheme of humanity. Like, this way of living has barely existed in the frame of all of time. Like a couple hundred years ago, you just stunk and you wore the same clothes every day, and you were still worried about eating, and you could go a couple days without food because that was just the reality of it. And so we've gone so far the other way where, like, if you went back to 1700 and told those people that there are people dying because they eat so much food, they would look at you like, what the hell? What does that even mean? That doesn't even comprehend, right? So now we've gone from that type of existence to what we have now, and we have to figure out how to bridge that gap somewhere in between. We got to figure out how to get people to be better people and contribute in a more meaningful way and not be so gluttonous and not be so greedy and all those things. It blows my mind when you think about it. As I said, the time frame of air conditioning and refrigeration and technology that we have is so small. And I really think, Mark, you brought up like anxiety and depression and things like that. I really think that's a huge contributing factor is humanity has, quote unquote, progressed so quickly in such a short amount of time that our brains haven't had a chance to evolve into what this existence looks like now. And that's why people struggle so much, because they haven't had to go hunt for food, and they haven't had to go fish for food, and they haven't had to go hungry, and everything is just at our disposal. It's a really, we got Amazon and Grubhub and all the things that are, at our fingertips. And I have all the knowledge of everything that I know in the palm of my hand. Like, it's mind blowing when you think about it. It's what we have. It's our existence. It's the world we live in. But I really think that's a large part of why people have such a hard time just being a human being now.
I agree with that. And I don't know if you guys, I may be dating myself a little bit because I watched it with my kids, but the movie WALL-E. Animated. Yeah. So like, are we not becoming that future world?
I mean, Walmart kind of looks like it sometimes. You got people rolling around in the carts,
Sorry, guys, I can't get that audio to work, but I did post the link. So people that are interested can go watch that. I'll pop it back up, but it is in the comments. I wanted to really quick jump in on something that Mark Z said earlier. And one of the things that I think that our culture has hurt us all worldwide is that we're not focused on having a positive impact on humanity every day. We're focused on having a positive impact on ourselves. And Mark, it was Zig Ziglar that said, if you give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. And that is not an overnight process. I went through the same thing, same reactions you did. I'm like, my God, I'm serving my ass off out here, and I'm barely getting by. But we all have to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, at some point in time, you cross that threshold where people look at you and go, he's not going anywhere. This guy is committed to who he is and what he does. It's not a season for him. It's a lifetime for that person, for that woman, whoever it may be. And it's at that point in time when we've done all the right things that people buy into who we are and what we're doing. And whether they come to your gym and work out, or whether they just refer somebody to come to your gym and work out, those fruits of all that hard labor start to manifest themselves. And, you know, we're all in this world of, I want to get mine. And that is not improving the human condition at all.
It's not even improving our own condition at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Say that again, Mark.
It's not even improving our own condition.
No, it's not. But we're all playing the short game, right? We forgot. And you know, if we're going to live to be 150 years old, we better figure out how to play the long game, because we're going to be around for a while. But no, I mean, it's this instant gratification. It's 140 characters or less. And you know, those people that are consumed with that, and I say those people, I guess we all are to a certain extent, because it seems simple. They're not constructed to deal with adversity, and it's not going to get better. But it is people like Mark, and those that are willing to put themselves in the middle of a challenge. You know, 75 hard, I've not done it yet. I've got several friends that have gone through it. I've got several that started over 4 or 5 times before they finished it. And their statement to me is, this is not about fitness, not about physical fitness. Physical fitness is a byproduct of what you'll get at the end of 75 days.
Yeah.
This is about training yourself and exposing who you can really be mentally before you can. And because, Mark, you know this, you've been a trainer. If you're not mentally strong, you'll never be physically strong, ever.
That's fact.
You got to work through injuries. You got to work through traveling, being on the road. You got to work through your friends and your family telling you that, why are you doing that? You know, why don't you just sit up here and drink beer like I do? Well, you know, I used to say back in my day when I was working out, and this was the arrogance, you know, people would ask me, why do you do all that? Why do you do the dieting? Why for 2 years did you drink water and milk only? And I said, because you look like you do, and I look like I do.
I love it. Love it.
It didn't endear me to a lot of people, but it was the truth. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be the exception. So, you know, I'm not now. You look at me now, you wouldn't even guess I'd ever seen a gym.
See, this is why I brought you on, Z.
There's your next client.
I love it. It's great. It's great.
Hey, I know we're running tight on time, but I did want to reflect back on something that you said, Mark Z, earlier. When you faced adversity, when the big C hit, right, when COVID came along, and obviously you had to shut down your gym for a bit, you said you brought it back and focused on your core, and that was the community, right, your gym community. And I think, you know, I want to give a shout out to the Difference here too, because the Difference is also a business owner and an entrepreneurial community. And that's something that, you know, I don't know where this world is headed, but, you know, with all the economic indicators that are going on, we need to, as business owners and entrepreneurs, make sure that we are a community and serve ourselves within that community. And I don't mean ourselves being selfish. I mean ourselves as business owners and entrepreneurs. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the difference, I recommend you do get familiar with the difference, because it is a community and there is a lot of resources there to fall back and learn from, lean on in hard times and in good times. So who knows where we're headed, but what you said earlier, Mark, you struck me as far as, keeping it core and keeping it to the community. So the difference is out there as a community. So I just did want to share that before we run out of time. And I think, Lennon, if I'm not mistaken, we are up against it on the time. Any other last words you guys want to share on adversity or anything else?
Run towards it. Don't run away from it. And there's a lot of swear words coming to mind, but I'll keep them to myself.
I just want to say that it's going to happen. So if you think you're not going to have adversity, you are sorely mistaken. So do what you can to prepare yourself for it. And whether that's physical, mental, whatever, like challenge yourself in a modality, in a variety of modalities. So when it does come your way, you're prepared. We talk about the old quote of, you'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Like prepare as if you're going to war, knowing that you're probably not going to need it. But when it comes your way, you're going to be ready.
Real quick, I had a friend of mine that was he was ex-SWAT team and DEA, and he said they used to get ready to breach some of the drug houses and things like that. And their commander, his first words right as they busted down the door, he would always scream out, "Lean into the bullets."
Damn.
That's good stuff.
That's the good stuff. I don't know if I'll be doing that, but
yeah, that's kind of badass. But we can lean into our own imaginary bullets.
We could have used that down in Uvalde, I think, but that's a topic for another day. Sorry, had to go there. I won't get too political, but anyway. On that note, Lennon, that's a great ad. Mark Z, awesome having you on today. Check out Mark's gyms. Check out his program. This has been great stuff today. Loan Officer Mark, thank you for bringing on a super quality guest, as you always do. I love this topic, so we could go on and on about it, and wish we had the time to do it. But thank you, Mark, for your time today. As always, Loan Officer Mark, I know it's not your regular week. We appreciate you filling in for Carrie. I look forward to seeing you again in a couple weeks. Until then, everybody have a cool, hopefully, weekend, enjoyable weekend at the very least. And we'll see you next Thursday, same time.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers. Take care, guys.